Good evening, John. Talking to you for just a few minutes on the 5 financial decisions that a service member needs to make before they retire. And if they are married or have a partner, they need to involve their family in these decisions as well. So here we go with the 5 decisions that, in my opinion, that you need to make. You need to start on these hopefully about 2 years in advance. If you don't, probably about 6 months in advance is probably the good time to start locking these down. So let's jump right to that. The first one is whether you're going to do what I call change clothes or change careers. The point there being, many of us, when we first make that decision and we retire from the military, we do something related to our military occupational specialty, our rating, our occupation, whatever your service and branch calls it, right? You just take off your uniform and you come back in after you take your terminal leave, doing the same thing. I did that for my first transition. I'm an explosive ordnance disposal officer. That's why one of my taglines is diffusing financial danger. And I retired in 2010. So there was a huge job market for anyone that had been involved in explosive ordnance disposals, the counter IED fight. All of us were getting hired. So I just simply changed clothes. Other people, they change careers. They say, I did that in the military for 20 years, 22 years, 26 years, 30 years, maybe even 40 years. They're ready to do something else. Example for that is a good friend of mine. He was an information technology prior enlisted officer, had certifications, a list of those as long as his arm. But he wanted to open a takeaway restaurant, not a fast food restaurant, but a restaurant where you could go and get either a whole dinner or portions of a dinner, bring that home, get like an entree for 4 or 6 people, and then add rolls and bread, maybe a couple other vegetables to it. And you'd have a hot dinner instead of eating out of a bag. Great concept. I don't know if he ever did it. We unfortunately lost contact. I was traveling a good bit because of the wars. But he opted to change careers, have a whole new purpose, a whole new calling. Said, "Hey, I love doing that for the military. I'm not going to do it as a civilian." You need to make that decision, and I would say start working on that about 2 years out if you haven't already. Okay, the second one is related to that, and that is whether or not you want to be an entrepreneur or do you want to go get a job. And that can be whether you change clothes or change careers. If you change clothes and you simply work for the Defense Department or the federal government or a state government, or you work for a defense contractor, you have a job. Some of my friends started their own consulting firms, their own defense contracting firms, and they realized they were entrepreneurial. I didn't think I was entrepreneurial. Now I do, because I've also realized many of the traits that make you successful over a military career actually are some of the requirements to be successful as an entrepreneur. Self discipline, self motivation, initiative, even a little bit of aggression, foresight and planning, taking a strategic view while still taking care of things that need to be done right now, right? All those things that made us successful in the military are pretty positive traits for an entrepreneur. You think, you're not entrepreneurial because you're in this very large top down hierarchy, but you're actually fairly entrepreneurial within those constraints. Hey, just real quick, because this is a good break point. Yes, I am trying to grow this YouTube channel. This is the one that's more focused on financial services, financial literacy, not exclusively for the military community, but I have taken the company I work with, Five Rings Financial Money 101, and customized it. And I created a Military Money 101 that we now share with service members and veterans. I'd love it if you liked and subscribed and, comment about your transition if you've already retired or what you're thinking about in your transition. So those are the first 2 of the 5 decisions we need to make before we retire. The next 3 deal with specific benefit and financial programs that we have in the military and what happens to those when you retire. When you retire, you're going to get a retirement check, whether you're part of the traditional retirement or you're a new soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, Coast Guardsman, Space Force, Guardian. You're part of blended retirement system, but you're still going to get a pension. There's still this thing called survivor benefit plan. Survivor benefit plan allows your dependents, either your spouse or partner or dependent children, to continue getting a portion of your pension after you pass away. The maximum amount is for your dependent spouse. That's 55%. Now, it costs you 6.5% of your pension check. The good thing is it's inflation adjusted. Every time the active duty members get a COLA and your pension goes up, the benefit your beneficiary would get goes up as well. Two issues with that, though, before you decide whether or not you want SBP. First, it is 6.5% of your pension check, and it maxes out at 55%. You can get a smaller amount, but the first issue is that enough money? Is 55% of your pension check going to be enough security that you want to leave your loved ones? If not, you need additional coverage. Well, if you're getting additional coverage and you qualify for it, why not look at potential options that may be cheaper than SBP? They might be cheaper than that 6.5%. SBP is great. I'm not saying not to look at it, not to consider taking it, but you might want to compare alternatives. The second one is another plan that you get automatically. You don't have to qualify for it like you would a personal life insurance plan based on medical, based on age, based on what you're going to do. I mentioned I'm a retired explosive ordnance disposal guy. While I worked with my skills and knowledge, I didn't go out on the ranges. Well, if I had gone from being active duty bomb tech to going out on explosive ranges or working in an explosive factory, we just remember one blew up a few weeks ago. You can't get life insurance, or you can, but it's very, very expensive. So when you retire, your serviceman group life insurance up to $500,000, which I recommend you take, it's only $26 a month, which is an incredible deal. You take $500,000 of VGLI automatically if you choose to. The differences are you pay a little bit more for it. I think right now the lowest price for a retiree would be $40 a month, and it goes up every 5 years. It's not that big of a deal at first, but then when you get into your 60s, 70s, and even 80, it becomes very expensive, all the way up to $2,200 a month when you're in your 80s. Excuse me. So you need to decide if VGLI is the best option for you. If you can't qualify for private life insurance, if you're going to do something hazardous, if you're going to, like some of my friends were overseas instructors and trainers, and they were traveling all over the world, well, that's a limited benefit. So you need to decide whether or not you're going to take VGLI, and or you're going to look at a personal plan. The third and last option is, are you going to take thrift savings plan? Thrift savings plan is the 401k like plan that you get in the military, right? And now if you're part of BRS, you can get up to a 5% match, which is a really good deal. TSP also is a very simple investment option strategy. There's only 5 funds and then the life cycle funds. I've worked in the private sector. I have many clients that are in the private sector. Their 401ks have way too many options. They also have higher fees. TSP is very low fees. But when you retire, you have a couple of options on what you can do with your TSP account. The first option is just to do anything. Just leave it there and let it continue working for your retirement. In a way, that's a good option because TSP is so low fee. Another option is you can roll it over into your new workplace. If you're in the federal government, you could blend your TSP accounts. I don't recommend doing that because then you lose control of your military TSP account. It now becomes your civil servant's account. And if it goes in your company's 401k, your new company, you may not be there very long. It's going to almost guaranteed be higher fee than TSP. And there's probably too many fund choices. Let's just be honest. The third option is you can roll it out and create a self-directed IRA. You get control within the legalities of, the restrictions on an IRA on what the investment vehicles are. IRA is a tax classification, not an investment. The other thing is, if you contributed to your TSP when you're in a combat tax zone, you have the option that money is actually a cash account. It's not in IRS jail for your retirement at 59 and a half. So you could take that out and use it to put a down payment on a house, down payment on investment properties, pay off all your debts. So you start your second career debt free, other than maybe a mortgage. You could put it to work in an entrepreneurial way or in another investment. There's some options there that, I don't know how much TSP will tell you about them, tsp.gov. Your base Fleet and Family Services Center is what we call it in the Navy. There are other names for it, the other branches. They could give you some info, but maybe not as much as talking to a true investment professional or a savings professional. So those are the 5 decisions you need to make before you retire, preferably early, but you don't have to truly make them until right before you retire. Like SVP, you have to sign what you're going to do with that with your spouse if you're married or in a partnership state. So, are you going to change clothes, change careers, maybe be an entrepreneur? What are you going to do about your pension and survivor benefit plan? Are you going to elect to take VGLI? If not, get a personal plan to protect your family. And TSP. Are you going to leave it in TSP, roll it over, continue to grow that money for your retirement? I'm John, a financial literacy educator, creator of Military Money 101, and I'm diffusing financial danger. Have a great night.